Bridezilla charged all of us bridesmaids $650 for the Bachelorette trip, even though her dad already covered it. She didn't think we'd find out. About 6 months ago, my sister-in-law, aka the bride, planned her destination Bachelorette trip and charged all 11 bridesmaids $650 each for the Airbnb. I was annoyed at how expensive it was, but since she's family, I just paid it and moved on. Something felt off about the price, though, so I double-checked the Airbnb listing, and it seemed legit. Just to clarify, she had booked a beachfront house that cost a little over $2,300 per night. Well, fast forward to today. I'm casually chatting with my brother, the groom, about wedding stuff when he mentions how relieved he was that her dad covered the Airbnb because it would have been so expensive for all of us. I nearly choked and said, "Wait, are you sure about that?" Because all 11 of us bridesmaids paid $650 for the house. I suggested he double-check with her, and his face went completely purple. Safe to say he had no idea. To make this even more ridiculous, when I got married, I flew her out, covered her accommodations, paid for her hair, makeup, dress, and transportation because she was going through a rough time. And now she's got the audacity to steal from me? I get that weddings are costly, but if you can't afford one without robbing your bridesmaids, maybe reconsider having it. I'm guessing I'm the only bridesmaid who's figured this out so far. I don't know if I should spill the beans or let it go. Maybe her dad paid for it later, and she just decided not to refund us? I don't have all the details, and I really don't want to embarrass my brother. Date 1. Thanks for all the advice and support. I agree with most of you. $650 isn't small change, so I'm morally obligated to say something. Here's the plan. I'm going to talk to my brother first and give him a chance to clarify things with my sister-in-law. I want to get the full story, like, did her dad cover the trip, and she used the money for some other wedding expense instead? Depending on what I learn, I'll decide how and when to tell the other bridesmaids. My brother's got 2 days to figure this out since the trip is literally next week. Update 2. Okay, so I regrouped with my brother and my mom jumped in too. She bypassed my brother completely and got the real story straight from her dad. Apparently, her dad didn't offer to pay for the Airbnb until months after we had all paid. He was furious when he heard how expensive the $2,300 a night house was and threatened to stop funding the wedding if she kept adding expenses for the bridal party. Turns out, she originally wanted to book at the Four Seasons, and her dad had to step in and forbid it. According to my mom, who spoke directly with him, her dad felt embarrassed about the Airbnb's cost and gave her $7,000 to cover it, expecting her to refund us. Obviously, that never happened. Here's where it gets juicier. My mom did some full-on FBI work and discovered that my sister-in-law didn't use the money for any other wedding expenses either. She doesn't have it. So where did the money go? What did she spend it on? Now, both families are in the middle of a full-blown investigation. My mom has asked me not to tell the other bridesmaids just yet until we figure out what's going on. But they'll know soon. Update 3. While all this drama is unraveling, the maid of honor, who knows nothing about what's happening, sends us all a 4-paragraph text outlining the dress code for the Bachelorette trip, straight from the bride's orders. We're expected to buy new outfits for every night. Animal print Thursday, faux fur Friday, sparkle dresses for Saturday, and Barbie brunch on Sunday. Like, seriously? Who's buying all of that crap a week before the trip? Especially after what she's pulled. Thankfully, a few of the other bridesmaids seem to be catching on. Some replied that they wouldn't be able to get the outfits in time, and one flat out said it's not happening. That's just a side note in the absolute circus that's playing out. At this point, my mom, who's paid a substantial portion of the wedding herself, has had enough. She scheduled a sit-down with my sister-in-law, told her to cut the BS, and demanded answers. She warned her that unless she gets a valid explanation, she's telling the bridesmaids herself. As for me, I'm just sitting back and eating popcorn, waiting for the chaos to unfold. Date 4. We've got the answer. My sister-in-law used the $7,000 to book a swan-shaped ice sculpture for the reception and didn't tell anyone. Her dad had already banned her from adding anything extra to the wedding budget. But when he Venmoed her the money for the Airbnb, she thought she'd be sneaky and keep it. My brother only found out because her dad mentioned covering the Airbnb when they were out for drinks. So now the mystery's solved, But the real question is, where's my $650? And how do I break this to the other bridesmaids? Out of kindness or maybe desperation? My mom is giving her 24 hours to confess and figure out a way to pay us back. Because here's the thing. I didn't spend $650 on a damn ice sculpture. I have bills to pay and kids to feed. I'm itching to text the group chat and spill everything, but my mom's trying to give her one last chance to do the right thing. Update 5. Here's the long-awaited final update. My sister-in-law finally sat down with our families, me, my mom, my brother, and her dad, and broke down crying. She said wedding planning had gotten to her, and she felt crushed by the pressure to have the perfect wedding. Apparently, she thought the wedding wouldn't be complete without the infamous swan ice sculpture. I didn't buy her sob story. At this point, I think she's a delusional, controlling, attention-seeking bridezilla who's using her wedding to compete with Instagram influencers. Oh, and I should probably mention her job? Influencer. My brother, bless him, took the bait. I don't even blame him. This is his future wife, and he wants to help her get back to a better place mentally. He's upset about the situation, but he's standing by her. The wedding is still on for anyone who was curious. Now let's dive into the mystery of the missing $7,000 and whether or not we're getting our money back. The sad, gut-wrenching answer? Probably not. Her dad said he already paid for the Airbnb once, and he refuses to pay for it again. He added that his daughter is 31 years old and needs to clean up her own mess and figure out how to make things right. She chimed in to say the $7,000 is gone and asked how she could possibly pay us back. My brother, to his credit, has also refused to bail her out for this screw-up. While I'm happy that everyone is finally holding this bride accountable for her actions, I'd still like my money back. Unfortunately, it's not looking like that will happen unless she miraculously wins the lottery or gets an actual job. For those wondering, there's nothing we can do legally. All of us willingly paid a fixed amount, and trying to sue would take more time, money, and effort than it's worth. Plus, while she was incredibly shady and an absolutely terrible friend, technically she didn't do anything illegal that we can prove. Now, on to the bridesmaids. After some threats from my mom, sister-in-law finally broke down and sent a message to the group chat. The text she sent made my skin crawl. Hey ladies, you're my bride squad. So I feel compelled to share that my dad recently offered to pay for our beach accommodations. However, because the wedding is so expensive, I've decided to put his donation toward a wedding expense instead. I hope you all understand, and I can't wait to party with you all next week. Oh, absolutely not. I immediately replied, making sure everyone knew the wedding expense she's referring to was, in fact, an ice sculpture, a literal ice swan. Completely ridiculous. Several of the bridesmaids chimed in, saying they could have used that $650 for something far more important, but ultimately, no one has backed out of the trip. One of the girls started a side chat without the bride, asking if there was any way we could force her to cancel the reservation and get our money back. Unfortunately, since we're only a week out, we're no longer eligible for a refund. At this point, we all agreed it would be better to go and use the Airbnb rather than throw away $650. As for me, I'm in the same boat. I'd rather run myself over than go on this trip, but $650 is no small amount of money, and I just can't fathom eating that cost. I haven't made a final decision yet, but if I do go, I'm not participating in any of the planned events, I'm not dressing up for any of the themed nights, and I'm definitely not contributing another dollar. I'll just make it my own mini vacation as best as I can. Honestly, I'm really annoyed that this absolute lunatic of a bride seems to be getting her way after everything she's done. Edit. Since there are so many curious comments coming in, I want to keep you all updated. The side chat without the bride has been popping off, and we've all agreed on the following. We're still going on the trip, but it's no longer a bachelorette party. Instead, we'll each be taking personal vacations with our significant others while staying at the property. We're stuck paying for this beachfront mansion and airfare, so we might as well make the most of it. Additionally, we've all backed out of hosting or paying for the bridal shower. If she wants to move forward with it, she'll need to find someone else to plan and pay for it. We'll attend as guests, but we're not gifting her anything. The bride's mother is absolutely furious, and there's more to come on that front. For now, we're demanding that the bride cancel the ice swan and give us our money back. After doing some research, we're pretty sure the swan didn't cost the full $7,000 because those things just aren't that expensive. I won't be back for a while, so stay well, everyone. Update 6. Sorry for the delay in writing this update. I'm honestly at a complete loss for words. Where do I even begin? Let me start with this. There is no ice swan. There never was an ice swan. It was all a lie, a distraction to cover up where the missing $7,000 actually went. It turns out there was a reason sister-in-law chose such a luxurious bachelorette location. Here's what happened. All the bridesmaids showed up to the beachfront mansion with our significant others. Sister-in-law had already been told this was no longer a bachelorette trip, but to everyone's shock, she seemed genuinely stunned that we meant it. She was the last to arrive, showing up in a pre-booked limo and absolutely furious that no one met her at the airport like the original itinerary had instructed. She was also flabbergasted to see that everyone's significant others were there. At this point, it was honestly a comedy show. We all went about our mini vacations, and after about 48 hours, someone realized no one had seen sister-in-law. We assumed she was angry and had either flown home or booked a separate place to stay. Then the unthinkable happened. Sister-in-law rolls up the driveway in a wheelchair, being pushed by 2 nurses. Everyone panicked, assuming something terrible had happened. We rushed to her, but the nurses ushered us away and wheeled her into her room. We knocked on the door repeatedly, asking if she was okay. The nurses eventually came out and said they legally couldn't share details about her condition but assured us she was fine. At this point, I was seriously concerned. I tried calling my mom and brother, but when I couldn't get through, I decided to call her mom, the mother of the bride. That's when the truth came out. She wasn't sick. There wasn't an accident. She had gotten her Lululemons done. Yes, you read that right. She had a breast augmentation scheduled as part of her original bachelorette itinerary. The beachfront mansion was not chosen to host 11 bridesmaids. It was picked to accommodate 11 bridesmaids plus recovery nurses and a private chef for her post-op care. There is so much more to unpack here. What did her mother know? How much did this procedure cost? I'm guessing close to $7,000. And most importantly, where does this leave my brother? So many questions remain. I only got back from the trip a few hours ago, so this is all the information I have for now. I initially intended for this to be my final update, but with everything that's happened, I'm stepping back to protect my brother's privacy. Update 7. The wedding is officially off. I know many of you were chanting, "Cancel the wedding," so this should make you happy. For me, though, I'm torn. Despite her insanity, I really wanted things to work out for my brother. I was hoping this whole mess would blow over like a bad dream and he'd find some normalcy again. Sadly, that's not what happened. It turns out sister-in-law's procedure wasn't paid for with our money or her dad's money. That's because the surgery was free. Why? Because she's been having an affair with the plastic surgeon for over a year. Yes, you read that correctly. Sister-in-law has been in a relationship with her married plastic surgeon for 14 months. He's a well-known surgeon, and his legal team is all over me, so I've been advised not to share his name or any identifying details. What I can say is this. His wife tracked sister-in-law down using her sad little influencer Instagram page. Then she showed up at sister-in-law's family home, her dad's house where she still lives, and blew the whole thing wide open. There's so much more to say, but I'll need to split it into another update. My fingers are legit going numb. I promise I'll be back someday to finish this horror story.